Hey everyone, and welcome to your Java tutorial on constructors. What I'm going to do first, I have our code from our last instructional pulled up, and I am just going to create a new comment. We'll just define a constructor real quick. A constructor is a special method that initializes objects. So a constructor is a special method that initializes objects. Now you might see over here we have, this new person instruction here. This is actually invoking a constructor, and it's a default constructor that Java gives us for free when we don't declare our own. So if we declare a constructor, we're going to lose access to this one, but we'll be able to instantiate our object on our terms, right? So instead of, we don't have a first name declared, and instead of accessing the variable and setting it, we can actually just set it with the constructor. So let's create a constructor, and it's going to be a public method. And the reason the constructor is special is because it looks like this. So a constructor doesn't actually have a return type, and it's has the same name as the class, right? So you normally can't do that except for with constructors. And as you can see, when I highlight this, it highlights all of these. When I highlight our constructor, it highlights the constructors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a print line here, and I'm just going to say constructor was called, just to prove to you that these are actually constructors. So what I'm doing right now is I've declared this constructor now. We originally got that for free from Java, but now I'm declaring one, so I'm declaring basically the same thing, except when we call my constructor, it's going to print out this instruction here. So let's run this. And here you can see constructor was called, and then our first name. Constructor was called over here, and then our print name method. Cool. So that's how you declare a constructor, and that's why it's special. Now, a cool thing we can do what we can do is we can actually access our constructor and pass in a parameter to initialize our first name member variable. So I'm going to pass in a string parameter, and we're going to call this first name input. And so we're going to, in the same way that we used down here, we accessed our member variable, we're going to do that again. And we're going to say first name is equal to first name input. So what this allows us to do is in our constructors now, you can see they have a red squiggly indicating an error. It has an error because we now don't have our default constructor. Remember, Java gave us this for free because we didn't have one. Now that we've created one, we no longer get the free one. So what we have to do is we can take our Peter string value, and we can pass it into our constructor. Now what our constructor is going to do is the same thing that this line is doing. Essentially, it's going to assign this value, which translates into first name input. It's going to assign that value to our first name member variable. And so I'll do the same thing for the Tom variable here, and we'll say Thomas. Cool. I'm going to clear our console down here, and let's run our program. So you can see we get the same output as before, but this time we are assigning our member variable through our constructor. So this has been constructors. They are a special method that initializes objects. They're special because they have this special syntax, and they're special because Java kind of gives you them for free, right? It doesn't do that for all different types of methods. They also don't have a return type, which makes them special as well. So this is the idea of a constructor is very, very common whenever you're creating objects. It's really a good idea to do it through a constructor because it gives you control of how your objects are initialized, which is very important. So I hope you learned something. Thanks.